So, welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to our lecture series called Daily News in Shorts. In this lecture series, we cover a particular day's current affairs in a very short span of time within 30 minutes. The idea behind this lecture series is very simple. We don't want you to spend your entire day just reading the newspaper or covering that day's current affairs. Therefore, for your facility, through this lecture series, we'll be covering the entire day's current affairs within 30 minutes. Now, just watching this lecture series in 30 minutes would be job half done, because just after that, you need to revise this lecture as well. Why? Well, revision helps in consolidating these current affairs in your memory. Otherwise, you'll quickly forget them. Now, you can revise these current affairs from the notes provided by us along with this lecture, and these notes shall be available on our Telegram platform. Where can you find our Telegram platform? Well, just below this video in the comment section, you'll find a link. You just have to click on that link. It'll take you to our Telegram channel, and from there you can download the notes for this lecture and do the necessary revision. Alright, let's start today's discussion. But first, let's take a look at the topics we shall cover in today's lecture. So in total, we'll be covering 5 topics. Number 1 is Representations of People's Act. Okay, Representation of People's Act basically covers election process in our country. Okay. Now, there was an article related to that in the Hindu newspaper because Supreme Court has taken some decisions on that. So we'll talk about this. Then, this year's budget introduced the concept of tax year to replace the concept of assessment year. Now, both these concepts are related to income tax. Now, what are these concepts? We'll talk about this. Then, recently, Prime Minister Narendra Modi gifted Dokra Artwork or Dokra Crafts to French President Emmanuel Macron. So what is this Dokra Artwork? This is very important from the perspective of culture. Okay, and culture is part of your syllabus, both prelims and mains, art and culture. So we'll talk about this. Then, European Space Agency's Euclid Space Telescope spotted Einstein ring near a galaxy. Okay, so what are Einstein rings? Okay, how did Einstein propose them? In which theory did Einstein propose Einstein rings? We'll talk about this. And in the end, we'll talk about another news coming from USA, Donald Trump's administration. Donald Trump has said that he is basically ready to impose Tobin tax on capital inflows in USA. Okay, so what is this Tobin tax? We'll talk about this. All right, let's begin today's discussion, starting with topic number 1. Representation of People's Act 1951. Now, Supreme Court is hearing petitions filed by Ashwin Upadhyay and others seeking a lifetime ban on convicted persons from contesting elections. The thing is that Representation of People Act RPA 1951 deals with qualifications, disqualifications, and other processes and other things related to elections in our country, right? Now, recently, someone has filed a petition in Supreme Court asking Supreme Court to intervene and give a directive that anyone convicted of an offense, okay, will not be allowed to participate in elections. Currently, the law is that anyone who is convicted of an offense, serious offense, well, after his or her release, they won't be allowed to contest elections for 6 years. This petition actually asks Supreme Court to impose a lifetime ban, not just 6 years, lifetime ban. Okay, so for example, if there is a person who is convicted of an offense, he goes to jail, and when he comes out of jail, he has to sit outside the election process for 6 years. Well, Ashwin Upadhyay and other petitioners say there should be a lifetime ban. So Supreme Court has admitted their petitions. The purpose behind this move is to implement decriminalization of politics, because criminalization of politics is a big issue in India. Okay, so there have been attempts in the past to decriminalize politics. That means increase the entry barriers for criminals entering politics. Okay, now first of all, we need to know what all is there with respect to disqualification of criminals in Representation of People's Act. Okay, so what are the current provisions as per Representation of People's Act? So section 8 clause 3 disqualifies individuals convicted and sentenced to imprisonment for 2 years or more. So if you have been convicted means that the court has given a final sentence. If you have been convicted and that punishment is for more than 2 years, then you are barred from contesting elections 6 years post release. So once you're released from the jail, 6 years after that, you can't contest elections. This is Section 8, Clause 3. Then Section 8, Clause 1 says that you are disqualified if you're convicted of heinous crimes. And it doesn't matter whether you have been convicted for 1 year or 2 years. In Section 8, Clause 3, the minimum amount of sentencing should be 2 years. But if you're accused of heinous crimes like terrorist activities, unlawful activities, rape, murder, in case of serious crimes, it doesn't matter what the duration of your punishment is, you will be disqualified for 6 years post your release. Okay, now this is very important. These 2 points are very important. Section 11 allows Election Commission of India to reduce this disqualification period or to remove it completely. And Election Commission of India has exercised this power. So if you are convicted of an offense, well, you can approach Election Commission and they might reduce your sentence or disqualification from 6 years to 4 years. It can happen. Section 11 of RPA allows that. Section 62 Clause 5 actually bars imprisoned individuals from voting, not contesting election. Now this is important, okay? People who are in jail cannot vote, but people who are in jail can contest elections. Now people have said that this is unfair. Many people have approached the Supreme Court saying this is unfair, but this is what the law says. Section 62 Clause 5. You cannot vote, but you can stand for elections if you are in jail. All right. Now, these are the current provisions. But what Ashwin Upadhyay and other petitioners are seeking is that they want to remove this 6-year post-release number and they want to replace it with lifetime ban. Okay. Now, this is not the first petition that has been filed in the Supreme Court to remove criminalization of politics. Okay. Attempts have been made in the past. Now, what were the previous attempts? The most famous case is Lily Thomas case of 2013. Okay. The thing is that earlier what used to happen was, let's suppose a lower court convicted a person. Okay. Now he has to start his punishment. But what this person used to do was, he used to file an appeal in the higher court. And his sentencing was postponed. He used to file an appeal in higher court and he was never disqualified. So after conviction, you should be disqualified. But the person used to appeal the case in higher court, and as long as the case goes, you are free to fight elections, right? Now, this was provided for in Section 8, Clause 4, that until your appeal is disposed of, you won't be disqualified. Now, this was challenged in Lily Thomas case and Supreme Court struck down this provision. So if you are convicted and even if you have filed an appeal, well, your conviction stands and your disqualification also stands. You cannot fight elections. You can appeal in the higher court, but you would be disqualified. Clear? This was done in Lily Thomas case. Supreme Court struck down Section 8, Clause 4, which allowed for preventing disqualification through appeals. Okay. Then there was another case in 2013 called Jan Chaukidar case. It ruled that under trials in jail are not electors. Now you have to understand this. Okay. Now if you want to fight elections, clear? Then there is a qualification for you. You have to be qualified for. You have to be qualified to stand for elections. Now there are many qualifications listed down in Representatives or Representation of People's Act. Okay. Among those qualifications, it's written that you need to be an elector, a voter in any of the constituency, any one constituency in India. Okay. So if you want to fight elections, the first qualification for you is you need to be a voter on the voting list of any constituency in India. Okay. The thing is that people who are in jail are not allowed to vote. Therefore, they are not electors or on the voters list, but they are allowed to stand for elections. Right? Now, this would be a violation of this qualification under Representation of People's Act. And this was filed in Jan Chaukidar case. Okay. So the Supreme Court said that people because people who are in jail are not electors, they also cannot stand in elections. Okay, so Supreme Court ruled out that people in jail can fight for elections, but this could not be implemented because Parliament amended the law to overturn this ruling. Okay, so Supreme Court somehow decriminalized politics in a way, but Parliament came back with a new law. Then, very famous public interest foundation case, the court refused to disqualify candidates with pending criminal charges, stating that only Parliament could amend the law. A case was filed in the Supreme Court saying that people who have criminal cases against them should be disqualified. Well, Supreme Court said that it does not have the power to do so, only Parliament has the power, and Parliament has allowed people to fight elections even if they have criminal charges pending against them. As long as they are not convicted, they can fight elections. But in 2020, Supreme Court said that political parties must publish the criminal antecedents. Okay, political parties must publish all the criminal cases against their candidates within 48 hours of their election or selection. Okay, this was done. This was done to make people know about how many criminals are fighting elections, or how many people who have criminal charges against them are fighting elections. This was basically for right to information. People need to know who they are voting for. Okay, so this is all about criminalization of politics. Now let's talk about second topic, which is tax year to replace assessment year. So to implement what was discussed in this year's budget, a bill is being passed called Income Tax Bill 2025. Now, this income tax bill makes key changes to the income tax law. First of all, taxation language will be simplified, clear definition of income would be given, removal of outdated provisions would be done through this income tax bill within the Income Tax Act. Plus, the bill seeks to replace assessment year methodology with tax year methodology. Now, what is assessment year methodology of calculating income tax, and what is tax year methodology of calculating income tax? Okay, let's talk about this. So what is this tax year concept? Look, earlier, income taxes, let's suppose your income for the year 2024-25 was, let's suppose, 10 lakhs, okay, per year. So you will earn income in 2024-25 and you will pay a tax on it, income tax on it, okay, in 2025-26. So generally you pay taxes for your income in previous year. Okay, in this case, 2024-25 would be known as income year, or we'll call it tax year. And 2025-26 would be known as assessment year. So earlier, you used to pay taxes on your previous year's income. Okay, this was assessment year concept. So assessment year would be different from tax year. Okay, 2024-25's income would be taxed in 2025-26. This was the concept, this was the methodology that was followed. But finance minister says that now we have the technology to assess the income in current year only, in tax year only. Okay, therefore from next year onwards we are going to follow tax year concept. It refers to a 12-month period starting from April 1st, during which income will be assessed and taxed in the same financial year. So you will earn income in this year and pay taxes on that income this year. Earlier, you would earn income this year and pay taxes on that next year, which was assessment year. Clear? Now, what are the advantages of the new system? First of all, now technology exists to assess your income real time and to assess the tax that needs to be paid on that income in real time. Okay, so you can do that in same year. All right, so it enables real-time assessment of taxation and removes confusion regarding financial year and assessment year. Okay, assessment year was different, financial year or tax year was different. So it removes that confusion. It makes it easier to pay taxes. Confusion is removed. Things are simplified. Okay, plus you have the technology, so why not pay taxes the same year? Why to wait for one more year, right? So what are the advantages of this? Well, it aligns with global best practice. Most of the developed countries of the world follow tax year concept instead of assessment year concept. Eases taxpayer burden, simplifies tax filing and assessment for individuals and businesses, reduces litigation because it is simplified now. minimizes errors, enhances government efficiency, facilitates digital taxation. Because now the thing is that you can pay taxes online, okay? And because of digital technologies, assessment can be possible in the same year. So it has simplified things for people, taxpayers, and tax authorities, both. So it's a good move, basically. Okay. Let's move on to third topic of the day, which is Dokra Artwork. This is related to art and culture, which is part of GS1. Okay. And questions are asked in prelims as well with respect to art and culture. Okay. So, for French President Emmanuel Macron, PM Modi gifted a Dokra artwork of musicians, intricate and detailed, made using ancient lost wax technique from Chhattisgarh. So, he gifted him this. Okay. For his wife, First Lady of France, Brigitte Macron, an exquisite silver hand-engraved table mirror from Rajasthan was selected. Now, this this bronze statue, basically, okay, it is created by a technique called lost wax technique. We'll talk about it, okay? And this technique is also known as Dokra artwork. Why? Because Dokra artwork is a form of artwork in which lost wax technique is used to create bronze or copper sculptures and intricate carving is done on it. Okay, so this is Dokra technique, and Dokra artwork was gifted to Emmanuel Macron. All right. Now, what is Dokra metal craft? Okay. So Dokra or Dhokra is a non-ferrous. That means only non-iron metals can be made through this technique. Metal casting technique using the lost wax casting method, which has been in practice for over 4,000 years. Now, what is lost wax method? Let's suppose you want to build this or create this deer sculpture. Okay. So first you will take a clay, okay, and you will shape the clay in this way. Okay, you will create a clay, or you will create a shape from this clay, and that shape would resemble this deer. Okay, then in that clay mold, basically you'll create a clay mold. It's easy to manipulate clay, right? So in that clay mold, which is of the shape of this deer, you will pour molten copper. Okay, when that copper cools down, it solidifies. Then you remove that clay piece and this deer is formed. Now, this is known as lost wax technique. You'll use a clay mold or a wax mold. Okay, simple. Now, this technique was first seen in Indus Valley civilization. So, it is an ancient technique, more than 4,000 years old. And currently, it is found in tribal areas of Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Odisha. It is found in West Bengal, Telangana, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Tamil Nadu. Now, in fact, in Telangana, there is a place called Adilabad. The Dokra artwork of Adilabad has even received GI tag in 2018. So it's world famous now. All right. Now, significant features of Dokra artwork, and we are covering this because questions might be asked from art and culture. Okay. Now, this artwork is known for its primitive simplicity, unique folk symbols, motifs, and handcrafted designs without any joints. It is made mainly from brass, so metals like brass, copper based alloys, bronze can be used for this. There are two different casting methodologies: solid casting, in which you use wax or wax mold, okay, not clay mold, wax mold, single wax mold, and pour molten metal into it. Hollow casting. In this, you will use a clay core. You will use two layers of molds, a clay core, and outside that clay core, you'll have a wax overlay, and then you will pour molten metal between the two, clay core and wax overlay. So you will create hollow sculptures. This is known as hollow casting. The thing is that each and every specimen is unique because after making a sculpture, you break that mold, you destroy that mold. Okay. Now, traditionally, Dokra Damar tribes were the known practitioners of traditional practitioners of this art form. Clear? These are some of the extra points that you need to remember with respect to Dokra artwork. All right. Now let's move on to topic number 4, which is Einstein ring spotted. Now, to understand this news item, you need to be aware of the phenomena called gravitational lensing. Now, what is gravitational lensing? Basically, what is a lens? So let's suppose this is a lens. So if a ray of light is coming from here, this lens would bend it. Okay, lenses are those objects that bend the light rays passing through it. Simple. Now, thing is, in our cosmos, in our universe, there are very heavy objects or very heavy galaxies. Their gravity is so high that when light passes close to them, their gravity bends those light rays. So these galaxies act like lenses when spotted from far. So this is a galaxy and some light is coming from behind this galaxy. Now, because of huge gravitational pull of this galaxy, light rays get bent and this area appears like a lens. So it's not actually a lens, but it acts like a lens because of the massive gravitational pull. This is known as gravitational lensing. Okay, as you can see a ring of light over here. That happens when light passes through a lens. Okay, so the extremities of a lens, basically a circular lens. Okay, you will see a ring just outside that lens because light is being bent. Clear? Now gravity can do that. That is why we call it gravitational lensing. Okay, now gravitational lensing was predicted by Albert Einstein in his general theory of relativity. He proposed this theory in 1915. Now, along with this theory of gravitational or along with this phenomena of gravitational lensing, Einstein also said that gravitational lensing happens. He predicted basically, he did not have any telescope, but through mathematical equations, he predicted that gravitational lensing is possible. Okay. Then after the discovery of powerful telescopes, way after Einstein's death, people discovered gravitational lensing phenomena through telescopes, powerful telescopes, and they observed a ring-like structure because of this phenomena called gravitational lensing. Now, because gravitational lensing was proposed by Einstein, that is why these rings, due to gravitational lensing, are known as Einstein rings. Simple. Now, European Space Agency Space Telescope, Euclid Space Telescope, discovered a rare Einstein ring around a galaxy called NGC 6505, located 590 million light years away from Earth. Okay. Now, what is Einstein ring? I have explained to you. The definition can be found in the notes. Okay. Now, what are the significant features of Einstein rings? For this phenomena to happen, light should be coming from behind the galaxy. Obviously, if this is the galaxy, then light should be coming from behind that galaxy for this galaxy to bend those light rays. Okay. Now, basically, it is a very rare phenomena. Only 1% of the galaxies which are extremely heavy can exhibit Einstein rings. And these Einstein rings are not visible from naked eye. Obviously, you need extremely powerful telescopes to spot these Einstein rings. Okay, like European Space Agency's Euclid Space Telescope, NASA's Hubble Space Telescope, only they can spot Einstein rings. Okay, now what is the importance of Einstein rings? First of all, the reason why we can see this gravitational lensing phenomena is because of gravity, right? And gravity exists because there is mass. Now, there is matter in the universe which is not visible to humans. Okay, but there is mass. Okay, it is matter and there is mass, but it is not visible to humans. We call that matter, this mysterious matter, called dark matter. Now, matter has a tendency of generating gravitational pull. So, through the phenomena of gravitational lensing, we can spot or we can detect dark matter, things that are not visible but are exerting gravitational pull. And we can spot that gravitational pull by observing gravitational lensing. So, dark matter detection can happen through Einstein rings. Then, these Einstein rings actually create a circle around a galaxy. So, it is easier to spot far away galaxies. Okay. Plus, because mass is involved in bending these light rays, this phenomena of spotting Einstein rings is a good way of basically spotting mass distribution across the universe, where you can find more mass, where there is less mass in the universe, and all that. Okay, so it is quite important. Einstein rings are a very important tool for detecting dark matter, spotting galaxies, and knowing about mass distribution. Okay, and last but not the least, we'll talk about Tobin tax. Now, what is Tobin tax? Basically, Donald Trump has threatened to levy Tobin tax on foreign investments. Okay, now what is Tobin tax? That is something that you need to know. So, it is a tax on foreign exchange transactions aimed at discouraging short term speculative trading. You see, there are these big foreign investors who invest in stock markets of different countries for short term gain. Okay, as soon as their gain is made, they take their money out. So, they'll bring their money in Indian stock market, they will make some gain, and within a day or two or within a month, they will get out. Now, this creates volatility in stock markets. Now, to prevent this volatility, James Tobin, a Nobel Prize winning economist, suggested a tax on this movement of capital in and out of a country. And after him, this tax was named as Tobin tax. The purpose is to discourage speculative trading, currency stabilization, and reduce volatility in the markets. Okay, proposed in 1972 by Nobel Prize winning economist James Tobin, and the tax rates are very minimal, but they are levied to prevent volatility in the stock market and stabilizing your currency. Because this movement of this inflow and outflow of capital, quick inflow and outflow of capital, makes your currency also volatile, because your currency appreciates with inflows and depreciates with outflows. Okay, so to prevent that, to stabilize your currency, a tax is levied to discourage these foreign investors from quickly getting in and getting out. Now, USA is thinking of levying Tobin tax. Okay. Now, many people are saying that Donald Trump shouldn't do that because it would destabilize financial markets. It would actually scare these foreign investors. It would create a lot of problems. But Tobin tax also has some advantages. What are those advantages? Well, it is a tax, so it can be a good source of revenue for the government. Plus, it basically protects economies and currencies from speculative trading, volatility. And it also limits the financial power of these big fund houses, hedge funds, big investors who play with these stock markets and who play with countries. Okay, so these are the benefits of Tobin tax. All right, and with that, we conclude today's session. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I'm sure it has added value to your preparation, but it would add more value if you'll revise this lecture as well. And you can revise this lecture from our notes. So please do not forget to revise this lecture. On that note, I'll be signing off. Thank you so much, everyone.